This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne Kayes and Jeremy Fisher.
This is a voice.
Hello and welcome to This is a Voice Season 11, Episode 4.
The podcast where we get vocal about voice.
I'm Jeremy Fisher.
And I'm Dr. Gillyanne Kayes.
What are we doing today? I've forgotten.
We had a brilliant idea for a topic to talk about. And what was it?
Success Amnesia. Success Amnesia. I wrote an article very recently on the website in the blog things on success amnesia. It was something that we learnt about recently, but we've known about for a long time.
Yeah. Should we tell them how we found out about it as a syndrome? And it's one of the syndromes you look for in someone who is ADHD. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think it's exclusive to ADHD, but it's certainly there. Success amnesia, we learnt about this when we were on a long journey and we don't listen to music in the car. It's too much part of the business. But we do listen to audiobooks, and we were listening to Alex Partridge doing a book which I think is called Now It All Makes Sense.
Yes.
On living with ADHD. And first of all, it was so funny because we were listening to this and Gillyanne was just grinning at me the entire time.
Yeah, every so often I would pause and say, yes, now I get it.
Yes, you do that, yes.
And also, now it all makes sense to me and it's brilliant. So I just want to say, shout out to the wonderful Alex Partridge for all the amazing work he does in this area. He has a podcast about ADHD, doesn't he?
He specifically set up, and it's such a good idea, he set up a podcast and invited a whole load of ADHD experts in all sorts of arenas come and talk about their work. So he was learning just as much as the listener was every time.
So if you are diagnosed or if you are undiagnosed, which Jeremy is, but we're pretty darn certain he's ADHD, he ticks all the boxes.
Yep.
Or if, like me, you live with and work with someone who's ADHD, I absolutely recommend that you listen to or read that book. It's really helped us, actually.
It really has. And also, for me listening to it, it's like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I think like that. Yes, that works for me. Yes, that's how I deal with it. And it was a sort of affirming audiobook as well, because ultimately what you go is, oh, I'm not weird. Yeah, I'm weird, but I'm not weird. And that's really useful.
Embrace your weirdness, because
Thank you.
actually what I want to tell people is if you do give yourself this opportunity to recognize what ADHD means, it will improve your life and it will improve the life of those around you. I honestly think Jeremy has been happier since he stopped masking. And I haven't said this to you, but I think our business is running more smoothly and more optimally.
Yeah, okay. That's a shout out for accepting ADHD then. We will put the link to the book in the show notes if you want to go and have a read.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy, you wrote the blog.
Yes.
What is it?
Success amnesia, it's just a really interesting thing. It's when you have achieved something, but it doesn't mean anything to you. You don't even notice that you've achieved it. It's, oh yeah, okay, another box ticked, and on to the next thing. So there's no awareness of the sort of success that you've done, and also there's no celebration of it. And I will say, my life coach, and I've had him for a number of years, has been on at me to do all sorts of things like this. I didn't know that it came under this banner. But I know in the blog, I talk about a very large poster, which in fact I'm looking at right now, which is just above my desk. And I am not the sort of person that would put a poster up. I had to be persuaded to do this. But I did a masterclass in the University of Chichester, and they did an amazing poster of me doing the masterclass. And I just saw it on boards when I was there and I went, ooh, can I take that home with me? So it's up on the wall. So every time I'm working, every so often, I will look up and I'll go, yeah, you did that masterclass. That was good. Basically, you are at the level that can be invited to do masterclasses. Well done. And it's just a sort of prod for me to remember where I am, what I've done, and some of the successful things.
Yeah, and actually one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about it in this podcast is because it also happens to me, and it happened to me recently. I don't know if you remember, but I was putting together a proposal for a book, an abstract. And it was hard work. And the way that I process is very different from Jeremy.
Yeah.
I will get germs of ideas, little seeds of ideas, And then I start to look at all the different seeds. And at a certain point, they start to make a pattern for me. It's a bit like working with a jigsaw. I hate jigsaws, by the way, but that's the idea. I'll come in piece by piece, and then I think, oh, this is the whole picture. And I absolutely love seeing the connectedness of things. And then everything will drop into place for me. And this is exactly what happened, because I allowed myself some sifting time before I finalised this proposal. And I was absolutely thrilled to bits with myself. And then I said to Jeremy, and do you know what? I've just remembered I had this lovely email from a research colleague back in the summer who said that they'd come across my initial chapter for the Oxford Handbook of Singing called Structure and Function of Singing Voice, I think. And they said such nice things about it. And I'd forgotten that. And I actually went and got the email out and I read it aloud to Jeremy.
I was going to say, I don't think you even told me that email had arrived the first time.
It had just, because so many things were going on in my mind at that point. And I don't know if we've spoken about this, but over the last 2 years, we did get to the point where we were in burnout. For those of you who might not know, one of the symptoms of burnout can be that you develop, hopefully temporary, acquired ADHD. So I started to notice some of the things that Jeremy normally gets that I was getting, and that was one of them.
And also on that topic, success amnesia is one of the things that contributes to burnout, because you have no concept or no awareness that you are good at what you do. You just assume that you're bad at what you do and that nothing has ever worked.
And I think, obviously, we're going to talk about it for music professionals. But in terms of you, Jeremy, because you have at least 100 ideas a day.
Minimum.
And of these, some of them will actually be pretty bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, whether one follows through on those ideas, for instance, in a business situation, is another matter altogether, and that's one of the things we've had to learn to deal with. Yeah. But because you're on to the next idea, you simply haven't realised what you did before, and because you're on to the next thing, you simply don't realise and celebrate. You don't get into that. It's called the psychological state of satisfaction, isn't it?
Oh, and linked with that, Gillyanne has been telling me for years, and in fact, we've talked about this before. I would come back from a coaching session, this is years ago, and would say, oh yes, I did that with that person. And she would go, that's really good. Can you write that down? Can we do something with that? And I'd go, what? Completely oblivious. That should be my middle name, really. But so oblivious to the effect.
Yeah, you didn't realise how brilliant it was. So in particular, there are two ideas that you brought home from teaching that you unpacked with me. And I thought, wow, these are so good. These are brilliant.
I know which ones you're going to say.
Yeah, they're in the Learning Lounge, aren't they? Well, certainly one of them is.
Yeah.
One of them was Answers on a Postcard.
Mastering Musical Theatre in the Learning Lounge.
Yeah, which we have used over and over in masterclasses. And I absolutely love that other practitioners and other teachers have morphed it and are using it in their sessions as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then something that got into successful singing auditions was the foal process.
The foal process, falling off a log. Foal. Your falling off a log area is the thing that you do so easily that you don't even notice it, you don't rate it, you don't think it's particularly special until you see somebody else struggling with it and you go, that old thing, why are you having a problem? That's because it's a falling off a log area for you. And one of the things I'm doing in my career coaching now is helping people find their falling off a log areas, because that's the thing that they're going to be able to sustain in a career. Fun.
So, Jeremy, thinking to the blog.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about how you see success amnesia in the people you work with, the music professionals, the singing voice professionals, the performers?
The first thing that I notice is the whole moving on mentality, which is, that wasn't anything special. What's next? And there's no pause, there's no moment where you go, I did really well, or that worked, or I'm so pleased that happened, or I'm sure this can lead to something really interesting. There's no pause moment because it doesn't occur to people that there is something there to celebrate. That's the first thing.
Can I just read this? Because I actually really like this paragraph.
Yes.
Success amnesia happens when you consistently forget your own achievements. Instead of sitting in the glow of what you've accomplished, your brain zooms straight to what's next. What didn't go perfectly?
Yep.
Hello, professional musicians.
Yep.
What don't I feel there yet? Wherever there is why don't I feel there yet? As if there's some kind of arrival point. This is something I suffer from as well.
Oh, yeah, me too. For years. It's like, why haven't I made it? And the question is, made it doing what, being what, arriving where? It's really, it's a fascinating thing when you realise that it is a thing.
Yeah, and we as musicians operate in high stakes, high emotional environments, and we do tend to be constantly seeking approval. Teachers, audition panels, audiences, casting directors, and hello, social media.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So why does it become a problem, Jeremy?
Because there's no moment of satisfaction, because you're constantly on the move. There's no settling anywhere. And oddly enough, it's because you don't acknowledge your own skills and sometimes even your own level. And so there's a sort of sense of dissatisfaction that runs through everything. That is not good for you to keep that sense of dissatisfaction going.
So it's going to drain enjoyment.
Yes.
And that's
Burnout.
going to drain your confidence.
Yeah, burnout, the whole burnout thing.
Yeah.
And imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a big thing for artists in general, any kind of artist, anyone working in the arts, because part of the creativity is it's almost like I need to create something, but I don't know if it's any good. And then you're constantly looking outside for people's opinions. And the imposter syndrome is people, if you like, aren't telling me that I'm any good. Sometimes they don't have time to tell you. Sometimes they will tell you a year later.
Yep.
Thank you for telling me. Can you do it at the time? It's much nicer. And also because of that, you disconnect from what you do. You disconnect from the joy of what you're doing and the passion of what you're doing. And again, for artists, it's very important that we can connect with that level of joy and that passion. It's quite a big thing. It has a lot of knock-on effects. In the article, I talk about 3 things that you can do.
Can I just, because you haven't written about this in the article, but it's something that I've spotted. If you do have success amnesia and you're constantly thinking that there should be something else you should do, and if you don't recognise the successes so far, don't you think it's going to make it harder for people to start a new enterprise because they're going to feel concerned that maybe it won't be successful?
I think it's more.
think?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it is about knowing yourself. And Gillyanne and I are very big on knowing yourself as part of your role as a performer, as a teacher, as a coach, as a whatever. When you know yourself, you know where your strengths lie and you know where your skills are. And it becomes life, and your job becomes so much easier because you're doing what you do. And I think the difficulty if you have success amnesia is that you don't really know where your skills and strengths lie, and so you go chasing after the latest thing. And you might even put together a whole business plan, which is actually you miss yourself out of the business plan. And I can speak from experience because we've done it like that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in the long term. So this is all part of getting to know yourself and your strengths.
Yeah. Do you know, when I was thinking about how I wanted to speak about this today, I was digging around in my desk and I found, yes, I have a desk, people, not just a desktop. And I found some of my little prompt cards. Yeah. Because some of you listeners may not know that I can suffer severely from performance anxiety. And I certainly did as a young singer. But there are all sorts of other performance situations that one puts oneself in, like going to a conference and being a keynote at a conference and being a headliner at a conference, presenting research papers, etc., etc. Any of those things can give you performance anxiety. And one of my prompt cards I noticed today said warmth, connectivity, and competence.
Nice.
And those are 3 elements, if you like, attributes that I feel I can demonstrate and be. And so if I'm going to an event, I might take that card with me and have a look at it and go, okay, I'm these things, I can do these things. And this is part of knowing yourself, knowing what you have to offer.
Okay, there's your first exercise as a listener. Can you come up with 3 words that you would be comfortable living with or living as that reflect you? And if you don't know yourself very well at this moment, then fine, ask somebody else, ask your friends. If you had to describe me in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? Write them down. And actually ask different friends. We did this, it's the sort of what 3 words thing.
What 3 words for you?
Yeah, what 3 words for you and your personality. Very useful to ask different people because they come up with different words, but you'll often find that there is a theme running through. And in fact, we did this for our accreditation people as they were coming to the end of their programme for cohorts 22 and 23.
All of them, I think.
I think we might have done it for 21 as well. And it was really fascinating because we collated them and I gave everybody a word cloud, which was everybody's words for that person. And it's such an emotional thing when you see how people think of you and how they recognise your strengths sometimes more than you do.
And when you see those word clouds, what then happens is that you look at them and maybe there's some things you never thought of, but there will be things that you look at and you can honestly say, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are your things.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that you can demonstrate and show up with in the world. And that's really important because then again, that connects with your purpose. And in terms of how you manifest that purpose, if you like, in terms of career, if you have those words, you can go to someone. I'm going to give a shout out for your career coaching because you get such amazing feedback from it.
I do.
Yes,
there
you do.
There you go.
Really
There's a moment.
do.
I just had a moment, which
Yes.
is, yes, actually I do. Yeah.
That you can go with those words and say, how do I make this happen in what I do?
Yes. There's also something lovely about this, which is if you do have success amnesia and you are the sort of person that doesn't focus that much on yourself and your own skill, when you see that word cloud or that list of words that people have created and chosen for you, sometimes it kick-starts you into going, actually, am I that person? I am that person. And it can change your view of yourself and it can actually help you to become more grounded. It's quite extraordinary.
Jeremy, I've got a little confession to make.
Okay.
I got one of my 3 words wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is a word that I use in relation to myself, connectivity.
Yeah.
But actually, it was authenticity.
Always a good word, and I love it.
Warmth, authenticity, and competence.
Yes, we could have a whole conversation about authenticity, but not in this episode.
So what else do you want to tell people?
I just want to go through the first, because I give people three things to
nice
do
exercises.
in the article. Yeah, I want to give the first one in this podcast, which is define what success feels like for you. Now, for some people, that's an incredibly easy question, and for some, that is nigh on impossible. But if you work at this one, what would a successful day look like, feel like, sound like? What would you be doing? Where would you be? What colours would be around you? What scents? There's all sorts of things that you can build into that question. And it's a really powerful exercise to do. So close your eyes, if you're comfortable with that, and imagine, preferably not if you're driving, listening to this, and imagine one perfect work day. Wouldn't be very long if you were driving.
And we're focusing on work day specifically because of the idea of being professionals and our work lives.
Yes. Your ideal work day, what are you doing? And you can be doing anything at all. You can be doing a whole mix of things. You can be doing just one thing all day. It's entirely up to you because this is your best day. Who are you working with? Are you by yourself? Are you working with colleagues? Do you have people coming for lessons? What's going on? Who are the other people there around you? And if you are by yourself and that's your best day, take notice of it. And then how do you feel? I know we do a lot of feel questions. Part of the thing is that my primary modes are kinesthetic and visual, so I tend to do feel and see. And if that's not a thing that you're comfortable with, then just describe what's happening, what's going on around you. What do you see? What do you hear? But there's something very powerful about, if you like, how do you know that this is the best day you've had in your work life ever?
I'm just wondering if I can share an example. Sometimes when we haven't taught for a while, for instance, we took a pause, didn't we, between the last two accreditation cohorts, which I think was a great thing for us to do.
That was also a scary thing.
On many levels, yes, it was a scary thing. And I remember getting to maybe the second or third training with the current cohort. And I just said to them, this is my kind of day. This is my kind of training. It is a joy to be doing this with you.
Yeah. It's something that Gillyanne says a lot and has said a lot through the years, is that she comes out of a lesson and she goes, I love doing this. And it's about working with people. It's about helping them grow. It's about helping them solve problems.
And that sense of satisfaction when you see them experience their success in the session. And also, I love working with voices. I just love voices. I find them so fascinating. And actually, with you raising this, because of course, post-pandemic, in many ways, our work life has changed, and my work life has changed. I don't have the same levels of energy that I had even 5 years ago. And because a lot of the focus of our business now is with delivering training to teachers and growing the teaching community, I, in fact, do less one-to-one voice training. And it's more than once that I'll go into a session thinking, do I still know how to do this? And then you come out and you go, oh yeah, it's all come back to me. Yes, I love this. So, the time that I stop loving doing a one-to-one will be the time when I stop doing it.
I just want to pick that up, because
I should be putting up my singing teacher shoes.
This is really fascinating. Your singing teacher shawl.
Yes.
This is really fascinating. The whole business of, if you haven't done something for some time and yet it was absolutely in your comfort zone and you go back in to do it again, and there is that, sometimes it's rather longer than just a moment of, can I do this? Do I even know what I'm doing?
Yes.
The number of times that I've heard that when I've been doing career coaching with people where they go, I used to do that, but I can't do it anymore. I don't think I can do it. And if we talk them through the situation, what usually happens is we talk them through the situation, and within 3 minutes of starting it, even mentally starting it in your imagination, they go, oh yes, I remember. And the number of times that's happened to me where I've gone into a situation going, oh, I used to do this 10 years ago and I don't, I'm getting old now. And you're in 3 minutes and you go, oh, I remember. Yeah, everything is fine. So there's something about putting yourself into the environment in which you're going to be working as well, even if it's mentally, that gets you clued into the energy. And when you do that, you remember.
Do you know what I'd love you to talk about next? The Success Bank. What does that look like? Building
your Success Bank. These are basically reminders. They're reminders of what you can do. So the Success Bank is something that you build yourself, and it can be letters from students, it can be testimonials, it can be reviews from performances, it can be memorabilia. So if you did a particularly good performance but you didn't get an individual review, but you have a card from somebody doing that performance, there's all sorts of things that you can use.
It's a bit like a gratitude exercise, isn't it? But really geared towards maybe the feedback you got, or something you noted yourself about what was really satisfying about that event.
Yeah, and yes, you can have the physical stuff, but you also have the sort of mental milestones. And so you make a note of the mental milestones. And again, it's very much, you remember a situation or a performance or a lesson or a lecture or whatever you do, that you go, yes, I can look back on that and go, that was good. And you choose something from that situation. You actually put yourself back mentally into that environment again, and I'm back on this one, because something happens to your brain that it goes into that environment and it remembers stuff that you don't necessarily remember. And make a note of it, because those are your success milestones.
I was just about to say, what is a mental milestone?
Yeah.
So finding something like that is an anchor point that
Yes.
reminds you how well you did.
And the thing is, if you're not used to doing that, it can feel horribly embarrassing. Because you're going, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. But the thing is, it isn't. Because what it's doing is it's celebrating your successes.
I've just thought of an example for something.
Yep.
Do you remember the roundtable session that I did at PVOC 2022?
I videoed it.
Oh, did you?
I
Indeed.
did.
So you did, where we were talking about singing and voice science, and I had the slightly contentious title, Voice Science, Do We Need It?
Yep.
And very interestingly, very high-level voice scientists actually wanted to have that discussion. And eventually, the result of having had that roundtable got published in the Journal of Singing. So do go and check it out if you haven't read it. I've forgotten what the official title is. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
But where I wanted to go back to was, at the end, we're a little bit rushed for time. And so I was listening as we were going along, and I was listening to what people were talking about, and just writing down little notes. And I stood up and did a summary just from those notes. It was a scrappy piece of paper, which, by the way, I binned immediately afterwards and had to rescue because I didn't realise how important it was. So I stood up with this scrap of paper and I did a summary. I can't tell you how many people came up to me afterwards and said, that was an amazing summary. You must use that summary. You must publish on this. You must do this, do that. And I looked at one of my colleagues and I said, do you think I should write it up? And they said, yes, just use that summary. I better go and get it from the bin. But do you know what? When I'm having a moment about a conference, because that was the first time I organised and chaired that roundtable. And that was an absolute first for me. It was a big moment. So whenever I'm feeling scared about something new I'm doing, particularly for a conference, then I remember those moments.
I just want to pick up on this because it's such a lovely example of falling off a log. Gillyanne is superb at listening to somebody describing their work and then summarising it, just off the cuff. And that's such a beautiful example that it's, oh yeah, scrap of paper, yeah, you said this, you did that, yeah, this is where we're heading. And then I can pull it all together here and I can come out with 2 sentences at the end and everybody's going, how did you do that? And she's going, what, that whole thing?
Yeah.
What, the piece of paper I threw away? No, it's nothing special.
Yep, that's
Yes,
just
it is.
me with the jigsaw.
Yes, it
That's
is.
how I roll, and that's why it's a funny thing. As I'm getting older, I begin to realise how my brain works.
Yeah.
That I've got to have that little bit of sifting process. And actually for me, a lot of the preparation for that moment was that we'd all got together, we'd had a discussion as a group about how we were going to run the session. I had seen everybody's presentation, so I was already familiar with the material, but I wasn't familiar with how they were going to deliver it. So that's where I was doing the active listening. Yeah, and it's made me realise just how my brain works and to embrace it.
I think it's so lovely because you said earlier on that you love working with voices, and I wanted to say it at the time, I'm going to say it now, I love working with brains. Yeah. I don't quite know whether that's too Frankenstein for people, but I love working with brains. Mm. So I love working with the way that people think and also spotting talent, spotting sort of skills that people don't necessarily know. It's one of the things that I think makes the career coaching so interesting for me is that each person who walks into the room is a different brain. And I just want to go, how do you work? That's it.
That's all we've got to say on this subject for now. We would love to hear from people about their experiences of success amnesia.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Have you heard about it before? Because it was a new concept for me.
And if you have had it and overcome it, or you deal with it on a regular basis, which he does, and
Yes.
apparently I do too.
Yes.
What's your best tip for other people?
Yeah. And I just want to say right at the end, remember how brilliant you are. We'll see you next time. Bye. This is A Voice, a podcast with Dr. Gillyanne Kayes and Jeremy Fisher.